The first thing I posted on YouTube, it was a little too early for its time.
Unfortunately, I don't think everyone agrees.
Everyone can do it. Everyone can make it perfect, but the proof is always in the pudding.
One of the biggest shakeups in the digital world.
Our first live stream, it generated about $30,000. Authenticity is truly the new currency. It's the new algorithm.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Creators Uncut. Super excited for another episode today. Like always, we've got a great guest for you. His name is Jeremy Shepard, and he's from the YouTube channel Pearl Paradise. Jeremy, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Spencer. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I love meeting new people, hearing about their channels and kind of the work that they do. I've never actually heard of a Pearl YouTube channel before, or that industry, honestly. I know pearls exist, but I'm excited to dive into the world of pearls. But for our viewers who may not know who you are and kind of what you do, why don't you go ahead and explain that, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Well, I own a company called Pearl Paradise, pearlparadise.com, and I am an importer and retailer of pearls. I've been doing this since the mid-1990s. And actually, it's 30 years this year. 1996 was the first strand of pearls I brought back in. Kind of dating myself right now. But I was a flight attendant for Northwest Airlines, and I was on layover in Beijing, China, and I bought a strand of pearls. It's sort of what everybody did. They went shopping for, clothing and knockoff bags and things like that when we first started flying to Beijing. And there was a pearl market there. I'd kind of avoided it for the first few months, and I needed to get a gift for someone back home and decided to go into the pearl market and buy a strand of pearls. I brought it back. A jeweler said it was worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $600, and I had paid $25 for it. And I thought, hey, there's a business opportunity here. I ended up going online from the very beginning. At first, I thought I could sell to jewelry stores and boutiques and such, but I got the door closed in my face numerous times. I didn't understand the industry. I really didn't even understand the product for that much. And so I started selling online in 1996, 1997. And although I have a showroom now in Los Angeles, a pretty big office here, we're in an old bank building. And we do have in-house clients as well. For the most part, we are still online today.
That's awesome. I don't think I've ever, like I said, I've never known the world of pearls. So that's cool. I wonder, I guess a lot of things overseas are a lot cheaper. A lot of business models, I think, kind of do that. But yeah, so you started online. Is that when you started your YouTube channel, or did you start with a website or MySpace, or how did you get into a YouTube channel?
The first thing I posted on YouTube was a short documentary that I made. I started going back and forth to Asia. I learned very quickly that the strand of pearls that I had purchased for my girlfriend, $600 was a way overstatement. Something like that could probably sell in the US for $50 to $75. But still, I was dead set to create a business out of it, and I did. And so I started traveling around China and other parts of the world, actually, Indonesia, Australia, Philippines, French Polynesia. And China was an interesting one because I had to go way out into areas of China where not a lot of Westerners would go to get to the pearl farms. And I had this idea about bringing a cameraman with me one trip. And I did. I brought a cameraman with me. He spent about a week with me in China. And we filmed the entire process and created a short documentary about 20 minutes long. And I uploaded it to YouTube. And that was the first piece of content that I created, which is, goodness, more than 20 years ago now.
Wow. So nothing really led you to YouTube. It was just kind of something that you wanted to do for your business, would you say?
Yeah, it was more about education.
Mm.
I didn't really sell in any other way than Amazon, eBay, and then the website. I built the website in 2000 and stopped selling on Amazon and stopped selling on eBay in 2000.
Mhm.
And I found that there was really no like real education available to people on pearls. And part of the reason for that is that there is no standardized grading system for pearls. And so you can't go
Oh.
online and find out, okay, what is a AAA pearl? What is a AA pearl? What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything except to the people who are selling it because there are no standardizations when it comes to pearls.
No.
And so I started running into this a lot while I was selling it online, that people couldn't really do much research before they came to me. And so I built a website called Pearl Guide. This was in 2004, and just filled it with articles, educational articles that I had created. And it really took off. I added a discussion forum to it. And to this day, there's thousands of members and 250,000 pages of content. And it's still very
Oh, wow.
active to this day. And I'm still active on this forum every day.
Mhm.
And so I learned early on that there is a roundabout way to promote yourself that is much better and stronger than just putting out an ad. And that is to go out and authentically share and educate and tell the story. And at the same time, show people that, I'm not a fly by night guy. This is something that I'm passionate about and I'm deeply involved in to this day.
Mhm.
30 years ago is when I started, but now I'm the president of the Pearl Association of America. I do immersive experiences. I take people to pearl farms all over the world. And I'm very involved in connecting people to the gem on more of an authentic emotional level, I would say, versus a surface level, hey, this is pretty, you should buy it
Yeah,
sort of way.
that makes a lot of sense. YouTube and online is a great way to share educational content. And like you said, a great way to like organically promote yourself. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I typically meet with our guests briefly to kind of get to know them. And I met with you, and you mentioned you also do live streaming, and that's on Facebook. Is that right?
It's Facebook, YouTube, and on our website. And last
Okay.
week, or actually last Wednesday, we did our first stream on Instagram as well.
Oh, awesome.
But all at the same time. So we're
Yeah.
using a platform that, pipes it out to these different platforms.
Yeah. So I'm curious so you kind of shared your story of how you got into the online world and to YouTube. What was the progression like to get to live streaming?
So, I had this idea for years that if we could recreate the like in-person experience with people with our product and our pearls, we'd have a much better ROI, better conversion rates. We'd also engage better with our clients, and we would create that sort of authentic, almost like personal jeweler type relationship that's hard to achieve via a website. And I thought we could do a like virtual appointment type of scenario. And early on, I looked at, installing cameras in all of our salespeople's offices and in my own office so we could have face-to-face conversations with people. But it was a little too early for its time, I would almost say. And especially our client demographic is predominantly 45 plus, 45 to 65 and over is where the core of our demographic is. It's starting to skew quite a bit younger, 35 to 45, and even some, 20 to 25 now, especially with men, believe it or not. It wasn't until COVID that this sort of face-to-face experience via video became more commonplace. People started becoming okay with jumping on virtual appointments with us and having face-to-face conversations instead of just conversing over the telephone or via email. And so right when COVID was wrapping up, we introduced virtual appointments. And with our virtual appointments, we could have this sort of an experience. We have I've got cameras on either side, and I'll just show you over here, we've got cameras on this side, cameras on this side. And so we could have this sort of experience that people would have if they came into our office. And it was immediately successful. Our virtual appointments started booking up every day, to the point where it was much better for us to have virtual appointments all day long versus trying to invite people into our office to shop. As this started to expand, I ended up building a studio inside my office. Well, inside one of our offices. We knocked down a wall and added a bunch of lights and additional cameras, additional light boxes, et cetera. And started, just making it better and better. And one of our team members had this idea and said, well, why don't we try just going live and seeing what happens? And so I thought, okay, well, this is kind of the next step in doing this, from one-on-one to a group. And so we gave it a shot. And the crazy thing is, well, first off, we had sort of a built-in audience already because of the website that I've run now for 22 years, pearlguide.com, thousands of members there who, we actually had an annual get together where they came to our office, and, typically 50 to 100 people would show up, but it was a big production, right? So we did our first live stream. And we invited everyone to come who wanted to come. And our first live stream generated about $30,000.
Oh, wow.
I thought, wow, this has got some legs. And so we did another one 2 weeks later, and it was even bigger. And so then we just started really building on that. And by that, I mean, we took it on the road. Just in April, we had 4 live streams. 2 live streams were in Ibaraki, Japan, at a small pearl farm operated by one elderly gentleman. Very rare special pearls. We did 2 days of live streams at his pearl farm. And then we drove from there to Shikoku and did 2 live streams from another pearl farm in Uwajima. Altogether, it was 6 hours of live streaming and about $250,000 in sales. So it was very, worthwhile. And Thursday, we're leaving for Mexico. We're doing another live stream in Guaymas, and we're streaming from another small pearl farm in Guaymas. And it'll be our second time doing it. So, what started from like a little idea basically has turned into a pretty significant part of our business.
Yeah.
And so we live stream anywhere from 2 to 4 times a month now.
That is awesome. I swear COVID it's going in the history books. It's like one of the biggest shakeups in like the digital world, I swear. I've talked to, just on our show alone, like so many creators who started their channel during COVID, and just things have taken off from there. So it makes sense, like, the virtual appointments and then going to live streaming. But I'm curious, is there a platform like Facebook or YouTube that like does better than another, or are there like pros and cons to each of them? What has your experience been like live streaming on the different platforms?
I would say live streaming is still in its infancy here in the US. And the reason I say that is because I've spent a lot of time in China. And if you know anything about live streaming in China, it's hard to wrap your head around. It's so big there.
Oh, really?
When I was in Chuji last year, there were entire buildings built around live streaming and halls just lined with rooms. And if the light was on, there was a live streamer inside of it.
Wow.
Over 60% of the pearls produced in that city are sold via live stream. And so there are thousands of live streamers just in this one city. And this is just one type of product, pearls. So imagine we're the only fine pearl live streamers in the United States. This one city has something like 2,000, 2,500 live streamers.
Wow.
So it's a huge business. Here, we've really just had to iterate, I would say, in that, we've tried different platforms. We've tried vertical versus horizontal. We've tried, single camera, double camera, different light boxes. And every time we stream, or just about every time we stream, we've made some tweak to what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so platforms have been a challenge, getting the right mix. YouTube and Facebook are great because they're easy for people to access. We can advertise on Facebook while our live streams are live and generate a lot more viewers and engage a lot more people that way. But what we've really found is that the best place has been on our own website. And so we stream on Facebook and YouTube primarily, but we've now started using a platform. It's called StreamYard, where we can pipe out to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, but at the same time, have the stream live on our own website. And when we go live, I switch out the theme on our homepage. So if you hit our website while we're live streaming, that's what you get. It's on the homepage. And, any day we'll have, 2,000, 3,000 visitors on our website throughout the day. So a lot of people find us that way because they just hit our website and, hey, there's a live stream. YouTube and Facebook, between the two of them, they worked somewhat similarly in that people could comment. And I would say YouTube became a little bit more popular, but only because there was about a 2-second delay for the Facebook. Oh. And the way our live streams work, it's called It's Mine. And so when our host, who is my wife, shows a piece of jewelry, the first person to claim that piece of jewelry is the person who gets the opportunity to purchase it. And many times, especially with the popular pieces, it's sort of a race. And we'll have 15 up to 20 people sometimes vying for a single piece. A lot of live streams sell out of 100% of what we're offering. And so people found right away that if they were on Facebook, they could, claim something and they would most likely beat whoever was on YouTube. It became a real challenge. In fact, I have 3 screens in my office, and I would be running the stream on all 3 screens at the same time so that I could line up the timing of who was claiming an item with which platform they were watching it on. So to alleviate that situation, we've moved completely away from these integrated live streaming platforms, and now we're just using StreamYard. And StreamYard is the exact same time on every platform. Oh,
that's nice.
It's still not ideal. And the reason it's not ideal is because it doesn't have this DVR capability that you have with YouTube, where you can make a live event always live. If people pause it and then they come back, they are starting where they paused from, and they don't often realize that they're 3 minutes behind us. And so we have to constantly be reminding people that, hey, if you're wanting to engage, if you're wanting to participate, just make sure you refresh your screen. That, if you've stepped away to the restroom or something, it's not perfect yet. But I have a feeling in the next few months it will be, because we're constantly iterating at it. We're constantly trying new things. And I've talked to a lot of platforms. The proof is always in the pudding. Everyone can do it. Everyone can make it perfect. But the proof is always in the pudding. And I haven't found one yet that is the exact fit for us. But we will.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, I'm familiar with live streaming. I'm not super familiar with it, but with StreamYard, are you able to use like one device and it, like, say, like a phone or something, and just like that one device sends it to all the platforms? Or do you have to have like a device for each platform? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. No, it's one device. We use something called Black Magic. It's a box. So Like right now, I'm looking at 4 cameras here. And there's actually 5 when we're streaming, because there's another camera that's close up so that if my wife puts on a piece, that, they can show it around her neck. And all these cameras plug into this one box, and this box plugs into the computer as if it's just a single camera, if you will. I'm not using technical speak. Clearly, I'm not the IT guy here at the company. But that then goes through StreamYard, and StreamYard in real time pipes it out to Facebook and YouTube and Instagram if we're using it. And the nice thing about StreamYard is that we can do horizontal at the same time we're doing vertical. Instagram needs to be vertical, but we have found through trial and error that our audience prefers horizontal over vertical. So we primarily focus on the website, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay. That's interesting. I feel like that's good to hear. If any of our audience is interested in doing live streaming, that's something to consider. So my next question is about pearls. What brings people back to pearls? Like, how do people keep coming back to, your live streams, your videos? What do you do to bring people back?
I think the best way to answer this is just to give you a little bit of history. I won't veer off too far. In 2009, I was invited to be on Jill's Steals and Deals, which is a shopping segment on the Today Show, on NBC Universal's Today Show. So it was a big deal. And we sold $2.3 million in 24 hours. It was a crazy event.
Holy cow.
It was a crazy event. And it was live, of course. Then I started a second company helping people go on to this show. And I did that for about 8 years. And then I took a contract with NBC Universal, and I ran their live segment, Jill Steals and Deals, the e-commerce and the onboarding of the brands and all of their email marketing for 3 years. Then I took it to Univision, and I ran the same program on Univision for 3 years and 3 months. I saw this shift. It's almost subtle when you think about it, but it's really significant. NBC Universal killed it in the beginning. And the reason they did so well is because the host, Jill Martin, would find products that she genuinely loved and she was genuinely passionate about and wanted to bring onto the show. And that's the way the show ran for a number of years. But then it started to skew. It started to veer off into a play for pay sort of scenario where it was less about a product that she really liked. And it was more about, okay, NBC's getting a percentage, I'm getting a percentage, and I'm just trying to sell products. And it was no longer this boutique little company that had this creative thing they created to, address a specific problem or just something that was really cute that she was excited about and she was bringing to the audience. And it turned into, a lot of times stuff you could buy on Temu or Alibaba and, just bringing it in made for TV product.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to Univision wanted to copy the same thing that NBC Universal had done in the beginning. And what we found really quickly was that the audience didn't respond to a false sense of urgency or made for TV products or sales that weren't really of products that they had any interest in or that they didn't recognize. And so very quickly we thought, okay, this is not going to work at all with Univision. And then we tried something different. And we invited a founder onto the show. Instead of using our host to just promote a product that she wasn't really interested in and just saying, hey, look at this hairdryer. It's so amazing. And it's on sale. And it's, look how it's got all these buttons on it, et cetera, et cetera. We brought a founder on, a founder who had created the company, who had created the product, who knew the ins and outs of the product, the why of the product, was really passionate about the product, and was able to communicate that to the audience. It sold out. The product sold out. So we shifted the entire show from just a tchotchke product type presentation, if you will, to something called Si Tu Puedes, which basically means yes, you can. And so we started inviting founders on, and I'll tell you the number of founders who wanted to be on the show. We had a list of hundreds of people that we, in the end, we could choose from to invite on the show, because they all wanted to come on and talk about their product. But not only did they want to come on and talk about their product, you could see in their eyes that you were talking to a real human who was really interested and passionate in what they were doing. Going back to the live stream side, this is what we do. What I've been doing for almost 30 years now, and my wife has been doing for 20 years, is we travel the world. We're constantly on airplanes, flying around the world, going to pearl farms, meeting with producers and processors, and we're always on the hunt for something special. That's what we do. And so our entire business, our lives revolve around pearls, and it's something we're passionate about. I mentioned I'm the president of the Pearl Association of America, and we do immersive farm trips where we take people to pearl farms. It's something we do not as a job. It's something that we do because we really love what we do. And so you ask what keeps bringing people back. Well, that's it. It's authenticity. It's when they talk to us, they know that we're not there just to sell them a product. We're there to show them something that we're really excited about. And that's probably the key piece of what makes our live stream special, or not just special, but successful as well, is that we don't take products from our website. And there are thousands of pieces on our website, but we don't go to our vault and choose 20 pieces and say, hey, today we're featuring this. No, every live stream is an event. And it's like planning a party that our friends are going to show up at. And it's always going to be something Hisano, my wife's name is Hisano, is really excited to share. Maybe we put a little sneak peek out on Instagram or something of what is coming up. But for the most part, they're pieces that when we are at the Pearl Fair in Japan, or at the Gem Show in Hong Kong, or at Ibaraki at a small pearl farm, it's a pearl we found. Or, a small lot that we've created this bracelet out of, or these necklaces, very one of a kind. Pieces that stopped us in our tracks, and pieces that we find special. And given that we are so enmeshed in this business, and it's what we do for a living, when we find something special, if our audience, who many of them are diehard pearl fans, collectors who own some of them dozens of pieces, they find very special as well. So there's that, and then there is the realness of it. And so this is something we didn't see as much in TV, because with TV, it's a very one-way communication. You can't comment on the Today Show and get the host to engage with you in real time.
Yeah.
But with live streams, you can. And so it's turned into almost a bit of a community, in that the audience members engage with each other. They egg each other on. They all celebrate when somebody, purchases a big piece, or they, if 15 people have tried or vying for a single piece, and the first person to hit "it's mine" on their keyboard and they get the first dibs, well then, it's always a celebration. And it's real, especially in today. There is so much AI out there. In fact, I listened to a couple of your podcasts and some of the things that, and getting ready for our call today. And there's so much AI out there. And I understand there's so much AI involved in creation right now. And yeah, maybe that works. I'm sure it does work to create really interesting content with AI. But there's also something about it that's not completely real. And I am seeing this in our industry it's the shift has been dramatic. And so I can only imagine how big it is in other industries that are a lot more built up than, say, pearls. And that is every week or so, there's a new website popping up, for example. And I can take a look at the website. I see that the model images are AI generated. The pearls that they're wearing are AI generated. The product is AI generated. I see these about us pages, and people are claiming to be pearl farmers or world travelers and yada, yada, yada. And yet it's all either drop shipped from an Amazon warehouse, or it is a company out of Zhejiang or Shanghai pretending to be this US based company, and it's got a mailbox that's a mail forwarder in Laguna or Texas or something like that, but it's all AI generated. It's not something that is immediately apparent. Like, you don't look at it and the first thing you say is, hey, that's AI generated. But I truly believe that even when people don't realize it right there instantly, they feel something right there. And so I feel like authenticity is truly the new currency. It's the new algorithm. And when people can see that they are authentically talking to someone, that creates a connection that it feels like we're almost getting starved for.
Yeah.
In that there's so much that's not real now. And when you go onto YouTube, like, I find this myself, I go onto YouTube and I see this cute video about a dog and a cat, or, something like that. And then suddenly the dog disappears from the screen, or I realize it's AI generated. I kind of feel a little cheated.
Yeah.
That's something that I think can't really be faked. And that's what we bring to the table. And especially when we're engaging pearl farmers, and we have the pearl farmers on the live streams with us, there's a connection there, a real emotional connection that is made that makes people feel like they're not watching something, they're more experiencing something, and they're taking part in something, and they're a part of it themselves. And that's why people come back, and they keep coming back. And even if they miss a live stream, a lot of them will actually go back and watch the live streams afterwards as well.
Yeah. Oh, I really like that. That makes a lot of sense. First you mentioned being passionate, and then second, that authenticity. And I couldn't agree more. Like, in the world of AI, like, I think people will want more authenticity because it's just getting out of control. the AI is everywhere. So yeah, very well said. I've got just a couple more questions for you, Jeremy. It seems like, since you've been doing this for like 30 years, you've made a lot of content, done a lot of live streams. Has there been one moment in making all of this content that was like most memorable to you, that stuck out, either good or bad?
I would say the most memorable event in making this content was a live stream. And the most memorable event was when somebody claimed $100,000 piece during one of our live streams.
Oh, wow.
And it's to date, that record hasn't been broken. We've come close with a few pieces, but having someone buy $100,000 piece of jewelry, making a split decision, not knowing that it was going to be shown. In other words, not having the opportunity to examine the piece and think about the piece, but to trust us enough to make that decision. It tells me that, first off, the decision was made prior to even seeing the piece of jewelry. The decision was made that this person wanted to be part of this, trusted us enough to know that they were not going to be making a mistake financially. In other words, they weren't going to get ripped off. And then knowing that immediately afterwards, that person would rationalize that decision as being a good decision in their mind afterwards, really kind of encapsulated everything that we were trying to create and trying to do.
Wow. That's a good story. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's really validating, having a real person trust you enough to make that big purchase. So that's really cool. I've got one more question for you. I mentioned this on all our shows, but we ask this to everyone. I think it's really good to give advice for people who are just starting out or people who are currently making content. But has there been a mistake you've made throughout your career / journey that you've learned from that maybe our audience could benefit?
I thought about this, and the biggest mistake that I've made that was really sticking out to me was really related to the Pearl business, and not as much in content. So I don't know how much valuable it would be to a creator.
Mm-hmm.
I had my eyes washed once in China. And that was that I trusted what I was seeing and what I thought I understood, and I made a sizable mistake. It cost me a lot of money. And that was, there's this little trick that I'm not going to say Pearl dealers do, but I'll say it does happen in our industry. I mentioned before, there's no standardized grading system for pearls. Like with diamonds, if you're going to buy a diamond and you want to get an SI, GH, or a D, whatever, it doesn't matter. You've got a certificate. Usually, it's either going to be GI or EGL. If it's an important stone, or if it's melee, you can actually examine them, and you're buying what you're paying for, because it's like commoditized. It's a commodity, right? There's a price list that doesn't exist with pearls, and so with pearls, I learned about this practice called washing your eyes, and I learned about it by being on the receiving end. I was in Xuan, China, spending several days buying pearls, and this farmer / processor who I hadn't worked with before, in the beginning, brought out these strands of pearls that were I thought they were terrible. And he kept bringing them, and I thought, well, wait a second, don't you have anything good that I would want to buy? And this went on for the first, I would say, at least the first part of a day, if not a full day. And then he brought out some goods, some pearls that were, well, let's just call them acceptable. But because I had been looking at stuff that looked so bad for hours, for almost the full first day, that acceptable looked exceptional. And so I thought, okay, now we're talking. This is what I came here to look at. This is what I came here to buy. And then I started shopping. Well, it wasn't until I got home that I realized that everything that I had bought, and like I said, it was a lot of money, it was 6 figures. It wasn't at the highest level of the products or the pearls that we typically buy. It was basically at the lowest acceptable level that I had paid almost double for. And so I would say that's the biggest mistake I've made in this business. But at the same time, I'm really glad I made it early on in the business, because I've never made that mistake again. And so maybe this even goes back to AI, and that is that you don't trust your eyes. Don't trust your eyes. You've got to trust your gut. You've got to trust your gut in the beginning.
That's really good advice. And a lot of creators become like business people themselves if they get big enough, and with like brand deals and whatnot. And so maybe we could tie that into like brand deals. Like I know some companies are really sneaky in what they put in their contracts for like brand deals and stuff like that. So be careful with what you're seeing.
But that's where you want AI. I mean, that's where you take the brand deal and you upload it into AI, ChatGPT or Claude, and say, tell me if there's anything I'm missing in here. I do that with all of my contracts now. I would add one other thing. It's not really a mistake, but it's a mistake that I'm seeing happen quite a bit. there's this thing that brands have to be careful of, and these are luxury brands in general, is that they don't want to become over polished. Because when you become over polished, it takes away from that realness almost. And when I say over polished, think about models that are so airbrushed there's not a pore on their skin, or think of magazines like Cosmopolitan, where the ads are beautiful, and these companies probably spent $50,000 for a photo shoot that maybe lasted several days and involved dozens of people, probably, right? That $50,000 photo shoot is now available to so many people for a few hundred tokens on their AI platform, whatever they're using. And I am seeing this happen in my industry. Brands have moved away from taking their own photos, creating their own content, creating things that aren't perfect, that are clearly somewhat amateur level, because not everyone can afford that sort of, lighting setup or for team or photo shoot. And they're replacing it with these images that are generated out of a prompt. And I was just talking to someone in our industry who was on the board of the Pearl Association of America about a company that we're seeing do this. And we took a look at their Instagram, and they were doing everything themselves. And they're a Pearl company, a wholesale Pearl company. They're not a photography company. And so it looked very amateur, taking all these pictures in their office, out their windows, little videos of their team, talking about their favorite piece or whatever. That has been completely replaced. Not partially replaced, 100% replaced, with every single image is now some $50,000 looking photo shoot image, pearls on watermelons, or it's just these things that look so AI generated, and their engagement is completely gone. It's completely gone. And if you look at their engagement from the time they were amateurs, there were 200 likes, 300 likes, a whole lot, a string of comments, people, saying, "Oh, hi, Joe. It's great to see you. I love what you're doing," et cetera, et cetera. People were talking to people. And now it looks like it's just an overdone Cosmopolitan magazine, every one of their posts. And I think people forget that, social media, it's called social for a reason. You can talk to people like this, or you can connect with people like this. And if you're connecting with people like this, that's social. These overdone, overproduced things, it does great things for these people's ego. It makes them feel wonderful. Oh, look at this thing that I've created. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. But it takes away from the authenticity of what they're doing. And I feel the only way to really be successful in social media, and I'm speaking from a brand's perspective, not a content creator's perspective. Of course, we create content, but really we sell products. So it's not views that we sell, it's products. And the only way we're going to sell products is to create that trust, create that engagement, create an authentic connection with people. And so I think becoming better to have amateur content and make a few mistakes, not have the lighting quite perfect, because you immediately bypass that question of, is it real?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I couldn't have said it better myself. And I completely agree. Unfortunately, I don't think everyone agrees, which is why AI is growing out of control. But
I love it in a way. It's great for my business.
Yeah. So
it's great for my business.
Really great.
It's great for my business in that, when our competitors, I really call them all competitors because most of them aren't online, but all these other pro companies are doing all of this AI stuff, and they're all doing, I mean, it all looks the same. I mean, I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, but all these people you've known for 15, 20 years, they're all writing differently now. They're all using M dashes. They're all doing really short paragraphs, 3 lines a piece. Well, they all look the same.
Yeah.
And so when they all start to look the same, that's when authenticity really starts to stand out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jeremy, thanks for being on the show. This has been a really great episode. I think you've had a lot of great insights, not only in the pearl industry, but like creating content, live streaming. So thanks for being on the show.
Well, Spencer, thanks for inviting me, and it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. If our viewers or watchers want to reach out to you, what would be the best way to do that?
Well, pearlparadise.com is our website. If it's anything Pearl related, feel free to reach out to us there. You can also reach me on LinkedIn, Jeremy Shepard on LinkedIn. There's only a couple of us, so it won't be hard to find. I'm the Pearl guy. And you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and all the normal channels. And YouTube, of course.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks again. And thanks to our viewers and watchers for checking out this episode. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, where we talk to real people, authentic people. If you need help with creating your own videos, feel free to reach out to us at creatorlooks.com. We'd be happy to help you, and we'll see you in the next one.